United States is celebrating Black History this month. Here to tell us about one of the pivotal moments in that history is Africa 54's Ndimyake Mwakalyelye. Ndimyake.
Well, thank you, Vincent. 51 years ago, 2 African-American students became the first to be admitted to an all-white university in the southern state of Alabama, despite efforts by then-Governor George Wallace to prevent the school's integration. Now his daughter is speaking out about the dark chapters of civil rights history in a quest to promote racial harmony. VOA's Chris Simkins tells us more.
It stained Alabama, of course, but it stained him for the rest of his life.
Peggy Wallace recalls the painful legacies of her father and the mark that he left on a racially divided southern state 5 decades ago. Wallace is the daughter of former Alabama Governor George Wallace. Running as a segregationist, he took office in 1963, pledging to maintain a way of life in Alabama.
Segregation now, segregation tomorrow, and segregation forever.
At the height of the civil rights movement, Governor Wallace defiantly defended state and local laws that sought to keep blacks and whites separated in schools, restaurants, and many public places. Governor Wallace gained worldwide attention when he tried to block 2 black students from attending the all-white University of Alabama. Peggy Wallace, just 13 years old at the time, recalls the impact of her father's actions.
The rest of the world, when they saw his name or a picture of him, there's an asterisk by his name or picture. That's the man that stood in the schoolhouse door that blocked the 2 African-American students from entering that university.
Confronted by federal authorities with a court order, Governor Wallace finally stepped aside and the black students entered the school. Peggy Wallace married and raised a family, rarely speaking about her father until the election of Barack Obama as the nation's first black president in 2008.
I decided that day that I had to do something. You know, I needed to stand for something, to leave a legacy to both of my children. And that was, later on in my years, was to find my own voice and step away from the shadow of the schoolhouse door.
Now Wallace is doing all she can to ease the bigotry her father promoted by advocating racial tolerance. For the last several years, she's joined forces with black civil rights activists in commemorating a bloody siege on a bridge in Selma, Alabama. It's where her father ordered state police to brutally attack civil rights marchers. Crossing the bridge years later, Wallace even joined hands with Congressman John Lewis, who was beaten by police there nearly 50 years ago.
They came toward us, beating us with nightsticks, trampling us with horses, releasing the tear gas. I was hit in the head by a state trooper with a nightstick. I had a concussion at the bridge. I thought I was going to die.
That journey with John Lewis was a turning point for me in my life. He teaches and lives love and reconciliation.
Peggy Wallace is now writing a book about coming out of the shadows of her father's legacy. She also speaks to young people hoping to foster racial reconciliation, not the bigotry her father promoted in the 1960s. Chris Simkins, VOA News, Montgomery, Alabama.
Well, stay tuned to Africa 54 for more stories commemorating Black History Month.